from your experience, what it is about them Jeep dogs?
Game. And bet them the right way with the Red Boy even made them harder to beat. Red Boy and Jeep, they both Kobe dogs. So that's why it lined up so well.
That's a good combination?
They both Kobe. It was a line breed from the giddy up. And you're talking about the genetics, and you look at the genetics in Jeep coming off a honey bunch of Eli dogs. Yes, they were very good dogs. But Eli dogs aren't known to be game dogs. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They're rough dogs, but they're not game dogs. Honey Bunch was a game dog, but she was a rough dog, but not a game dog because he'd never been tested. Remember, Daddy quit on his son, then his son turned around and quit. You feel me?
Right.
When Billy Son Jr. beat his daddy quit. And then Billy Son Jr. went out there, he went on, I think it was a champion that beat him, he quit. So, you know that games didn't come from that line, but the talent and the ability did.
Right.
Right. Now, when you bring Red Boy into that, when you bring Philly Bo into that, you bring a Kobe dog there.
Mm-hmm.
So you taking the Kobe stuff, they cross with that Eli stuff, and that's where that shit comes from. That's where Jeep and Charlie and them, they clicked. The right Kobe dog, Philly Bo was already a champion. He was a match dog, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Honey Bunch was a match dog, so you got two good match dogs, champion, bred the champion. So you expect that. You got a bunch of damn good dogs in that Jeep litter.
How about that Jeep Rascal Cross?
Same thing. It's still taking the same concept. Jeep Rascal. Rascal's still an Eli dog. It's still a lion breed.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
So now I'm getting a little bit more understanding, because at one point in time I'm thinking Jeep, Rascal, and the Red Boy were different dogs, but really they all go back to the Eli dogs.
Okay. The Red Boy dogs and the Jeep dogs go back to the same stuff, Kobe.
Okay.
Philly Bo was a Kobe dog. If you look at the Red Boy dogs, they're Kobe dogs.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So you're doing a line breeding when you take a Jeep dog and you cross it into a Red Boy dog. It's not an outcross. When you took Philly Bo and bred in the Honey Bunch, that was an outcross. That's a 50-50 cross. You're supposed to get that. That's a battle cross.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Correct.
That's why Jeep and them came out battle dogs.
Correct.
You're using two champions when you did it.
So they took the Kobe, crossed it with the Eli.
Yep.
That got Jeep.
That's what Jeep is. Then you take Red Boy like Cab and them and cross to that, you're making a line breeding. Because Kobe is in Red Boy too.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So that's why it clicked.
So out of the oldest lines, what are, like, if you had to rank them, the 10 oldest bloodlines that people could trace their dogs back to? So if you say the Eli dogs, that's like the oldest, Eli, from all of his offspring, correct?
Yeah, if I was looking at older dogs now, and I was picking out the ones that I would want, it'd be the ones with T-Bud in them. When you're talking about Eli dogs, I would be looking for T-Bud.
Mm-hmm.
That line of Eli dogs, they carry good traits.
Okay.
That's my number one. I don't even look at number twos. Because number twos don't make me go, when I can go at number one,
Right.
If I see number one out there, which I'm telling y'all T-Bud was the one, then I'm making that decision based on the dog that I'm looking at. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't got to search for number two when I'm looking at all these dogs up here at number one, T-Bud. With T-Bud, the dogs got T-Bud and good Eli dogs. They're the ones I want.
Right.
I go after those dogs. I wouldn't be knowing that number 2, 3, 4, and 5 would matter to me at all.
T-Bud. T-Bud, that's my first time hearing about him.
Yeah, T-Bud. Yeah, he's in the Eli dogs. That's the one. Go on and look through them Eli great dogs. You don't find T-Bud.
T-Bud.
Who
Okay.
goes T-Bud?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so boom, you said T-Bud for the Eli dogs. Okay, now what about like them Tombstone dogs?
Tombstone dogs, the ones that I would be looking for, I'll be looking for them coming by way of the Bulldogs dog. Because they're serious and those dogs like they're, coming down off of that old Eli stuff. When you start crossing back into that Tombstone, because them Mahoney dogs was okay. But you got to remember, when Tombstone was bred the Red Baby, that's a whole different conversation. Because then I started talking about the Klaus dogs. See, that's why the Tombstone shit clicked, because they put Tombstone with Red Baby. You see what I'm saying? Red Baby was the connecting factor, because Red Baby, you're going to find Red Baby that you're going to find all the good dogs right there. We're going to go back to that Klaus's champion stabber. If I'm looking for a cross with my T-Bud, it would be that Klaus's stabber shit. I'll take that Klaus's stabber, cross it to that Eli T-Bud shit, and that's how you're going to find a Bulldog.
Okay.
Because that was a factor in the only two crosses with Boomerang. Everybody hollering the Boomerang stuff. Well, y'all got to remember Boomerang, you know what I'm saying? And Arch Missy were litter mates. Same dog who created Snooty.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about Snooty.
Well, Snooty, his mama was Arch Missy, and she was litter mates with Boomerang. So those two went off and created their own line of dogs, and both of them are all Williams.
And what about Turtle?
And Turtle Buster?
Yeah.
Turtle Buster didn't have a good lineup for a minute. What happened was, and when the dogs started coming into the 90s, and that New Jack era come in, where his brothers started getting our hands on them, you know what I'm saying? The competition went up. So, Kenny Gaines and those Turtle Buster dogs, they were good dogs, but they didn't pass the test of time.
Right.
There was better dogs being put down there, boy, and they was, a lot of them old dudes started getting out of that thing, getting mad at the young boys, because the young boys, y'all put the dogs in our hands, they was making the right breedings, you know what I'm saying? Y'all selling them the right dogs. Now you're getting Turtle Buster getting busted up. You're getting all them old great dogs disappearing. The Kingfish stuff. You know what I'm saying? You start hearing them new names like the Bulldogs dogs, the Yellow Dogs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You start hearing these new name of dogs coming out. Just like you seen when the Mayday dogs start coming out. They changing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of them dogs took out a lot of bloodlines in their quest for recognition and the accolades that they created,
Mm-hmm.
Because they becoming new dogs on the line. None of these other line of dogs could get in there and whoop. They out there whooping a lot of them,
Right. They're eliminating them.
Yep. Because a lot of them, man, once those great dogs, man, get those great dogs, don't you see how they turn into puppy peddlers?
Yeah.
Once they get into the puppy peddling shit, now they just breed into moon puppies and try to hold on to the best that they can get to keep them active. All the rest of that shit they just putting out there.
Yeah.
You gonna have a litter mate to a champion don't mean shit anymore.
And what you know about them Peterbilt dogs? I had a good Peterbilt dog back in the days, but I didn't really know too much about that bloodline.
Well, it really wasn't one that really surpassed the test of time, because that was one of them other changes that came into being. The new crosses.
Mm-hmm.
You got Chinaman, you got so many other great dogs that started hitting the scene with Frisco dogs, Spike the Garden dog, the Gaston dogs. You got a whole new set of dogs out there. That old shit ain't working no more. How do you think these dogs becoming famous?
Like you said, it's dying out. Like the Kobe dogs, you don't really hear about them no more, but they bloodlines still floating around.
You're gonna always hear about Kobe dogs, Just like I said, you're gonna always hear about them stabber dogs and them T-bud dogs, because you're gonna always know there's great dogs that still got them dogs in their lines. Anything outside of those dogs, you're gonna find very little of, because they have already been dismissed.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking for the line that's still surviving, you got to get particular when you say that. Not just because, no, I want to see him there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's what made the difference. It's those kind of crosses that were able to surpass time. Those dogs that had those dogs in their bloodline was able to survive the new era. The crosses that they was making with them, the dogs that was being used, you know, they had surpassed it. Everybody else, you won't find, if you don't see it in there, guess what? Guarantee you, it ain't out there.
Hey, what I want to ask you, I want to say, man, who taught you the dog game? The science of it, basically.
Science of it?
Yeah.
The science of it, James Pope, where I'm from, they used to call him Ohio Buckeye. He taught me the way to read papers. See, when I got into the game, walking down the street with my Dobermans.
Mm-hmm.
I had 5 Dobermans. I had them trained. And the sheriff came by, you know, and he stopped me because I had a pistol on one of his collar. I was about to kill down in Carolina.
Can I ask you questions?
And,
of course, officer.
So he stopped me.
What's
up? He seen the dogs. He seen how well trained they was, and he was like, "You like dogs? Like you get, take a bad boy to know how to do that right there." He said, "I know you like dogs." He said, "I want to come and get you on Saturday. I want to take you for a ride." I was like, "Cool." So he was when he came and got me. He said, "You ever seen any pit bull?" I said, "Yeah, I had a pit bull live right next door to me. He was my cousin. He was my next door neighbor. He had a pit bull named Kojak." He said, "Was he a fighter?" I said, "Yeah, I know about fighting dogs. I know about the pit bull." He said, "Yeah, I kind of figured you did, Because he asked me when he met me, he said, "Where you from?" I said, "I'm from Going Harf." And he was like, "Oh, yeah." I said, "I'm from Pittsburgh." I said, "Oh, okay. Yeah, we run around up in Youngstown, all up in Pittsburgh." So he was like, that really kind of because I was from up north.
Right.
When we got to talking about pit bulls, it was already something I was familiar with, And he took me to Atlas Brewer's house. And while we was at Atlas Brewer's house, James Edwards was there. Now, keep in mind, I don't know nothing about who these 2 white guys is.
Right.
All I know is the sheriff that picked me up, his name was James Powell, but I always called him Sheriff Powell. He was
Right.
And he was a Marine. He used to be a Marine, so I was a Marine. So when we get there, he walked in the yard. We go back there. He showed me a gravestone of Snooty. You could tell it was still new because this was like in 81, 82. And, Snooty's gravestone was there, and it was talking about Snooty.
Right.
Like I said, I don't know neither one of these white dudes. I barely know Sheriff Powell. In the end, once I started, I didn't actually know who they were. I was getting dogs. He gave me a dog. One of them gave me a dog. Dog was off of a dog named Solid Junk. And the mama was Champion Red Lady. The dog he gave me was a little brindle mare called, I called him Judo. That was the first dog that I got, pit bull.
Mm-hmm.
And Solid Junk was off of Wood Snooty, and that was Grand Champion Molly B. Champion Red Lady was off of Wood Snooty and Grand Champion Molly B. The next dog I got from dog name was Solo. Solo was off of the Posse Buster, and the female was, what was her name? What was the bottom side? It was Rapasi's Buster, Rapasi's Queen. Rapasi's Queen, a little brindle, red brindle bitch too. And James Edwards cut her ears. And the way he cut the puppy's ears, he just took the razor blade, swapped the ears, he did like 6 of them. But he was pulling it, pull the ear, cut the ear with the blade, And he got all 6 of them. He took mine and put it in the box with the other puppy and said, don't worry about them. Let them bleed out. They'll bleed out. It'll stop bleeding. And we sat there and did 6 of those pups. He gave me a little red window bitch. But, you know, that's a time I always remember. You know what I mean? As I grew in the game, I didn't know how important they were to the game and the dogs that I had until I got up to Ohio. Because North Carolina, they was like sleep on some shit. You know, because there really wasn't no brother. I knew Tony Wade back then, you know, and I met Tony a little before I moved back to Ohio.
So he just gave you these dogs?
Oh, yeah, because I'm with Sher Powell. Sher Powell was a black dude from Pittsburgh, and you could tell he was in the Bulldogs because, you know, we over here with these 2 white dudes, and they got a yard full of them damn things. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They got big yards.
How many dogs you think he had at the time back then?
Atlas probably had maybe 24 dogs. Jan had a bunch of them. Jan's upwards had about 30 or 40 dogs.
Right. So then they gave you 2 good dogs, a dog right off of Snooty.
Gave me a dog off of Snooty and Molly B, Grand Champion Molly B. You know, he was a bad boy too. He was a good one, real good one. I won 2 with him. I lost 1 with him the first time. I went out with him, you know, because I'm still young. I done got back up to Ohio. You know, we down there, and I look, the dogs that we had, that we got from him, right? So then we got some more dogs off of,
Hold on, I got a question for you. Hold before you go forward. So when you met him, you had Dobermans at the time, right?
No, by the time I left Carolina, I was out of the Dobermans.
Okay.
When those 2 dogs that I actually ended up getting 4 dogs from them. And what I did with the dog, because I had Dobermans, right?
Right.
I had my big brother, he's the guy from Akron. Me and my brother went into the Marine Corps behind him, you know? So we all ended up down there in North Carolina. Now, you got 3 Akron brothers down here in this little country town. So we city boys, you know, we kind of wild.
Right.
So, we got around. We became pretty well known because, you know, the way we were still young behavior. Our behavior was Marines coming off the block of city of Akron. You know, home of LeBron James. If you heard LeBron James' story, he can down there tell you about Akron, Ohio.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we born and raised in Akron. He was a kid when we left and went into Marine Corps. And when we came back, you know, he was a kid in the 9th grade playing for the South Rangers. You know, and we knew his mom, you know, she came up in our hood. But, you know, just that city life that he was raised in, that's where we come from. So when we get down in North Carolina, you know, we would run around like kids in a candy store.
So when you met them, right? Did they the one taught you everything you need to know about dogs? Like, hey man, that's a pit bull.
No, nothing. I didn't learn nothing about them damn dogs, man, until I got to Ohio.
Oh, okay.
We went into Robinson with Bruiser. We had a dog from Atlas. His name was Bruiser. You know, the Robinsons, they were down in Jacksonville. Now, you know, I don't know who they are. I know they had a champion dog named Thor, and Paul used to be the one to come and get us. You know? And he would tell us to take the dog out, walk the dog a lot, run the dog around. So, you know, then, you know, he a Marine. So, you know, he was like, he had a boot camp over there. That's where all the pits was, on his yard.
Right.
And he run around there like Sergeant Slaughter. You know, all his dogs eating good food, getting exercise, you know what I'm saying, looking muscular. You know, so he keeping his stuff in shape, you know?
Yeah.
Because we thinking on the Marine concept. You know?
Correct.
Break the dog condition. So every time Paul came and got us, you know, we would go get blood, or he would tell us to bring Bruiser. We go to these guys' crib, and these dogs would be smashing that shit.
Right.
I mean, smashing that shit, bro. So Blood was a one-time winner when we left Carolina, and Bruiser was a one-time winner, and Solo was a one-time winner, and Judo was a one-time winner.
Right.
No, Judo wasn't a one-time winner. We didn't do Judo. We didn't do Judo till we got to Ohio. Blood, Solo, and Bruiser were one-time winners down in Carolina. So when we get up to Ohio, And I'm the only one that I took blood, I took judo in solo. Bruiser got stolen. After Bruiser won his match, 2 days later, our first dog that ever got stolen from us was Bruiser. Because after we won the match with Bruiser, 2 days later, Bruiser came up missing off the yard. And we was wondering, who don't want to steal a pit bull? You know what I'm saying?
Shit.
That's the first time when somebody ever stole a dog. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
But we really didn't get the thing about why would somebody steal a pit bull. You know, and he was scarred up too, you know, because it was like we just had him in.
Yeah.
It was like, we know he didn't get off the chain. Somebody stole him. You know, maybe sometimes I used to think that maybe Paul went over there and took him and shit. But sure, Paul, he just didn't seem like that type of guy. You know, him meeting us was his downfall.
Right, right.
You know, it definitely was, because he started hanging out with us, and we was into all kind of shit, man. We got to buying the girls and all kind of shit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, we city boys, so we doing city things down there, you know?
Yeah. Y'all brought a little excitement to his life.
Yes, sir. And got him in all kind of trouble, bro.
Mm-hmm.
But let me tell y'all a good one about Sheriff Powell, and this is what's going to have a lot of y'all tripping out. If you go and pull up double grand champion Tornado, look at her pedigree. Look on the bottom half of Tornado's pedigree, you're going to see Powell, a brother and sister breed. That's Sheriff Powell.
Of a grand champion Tornado.
Double grand champion Tornado. Tornado's bottom side is Sheriff Powell.
He had some good dogs, though.
Yes, he did. Me and my twin brother, we was helping him the day he made that breed.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I was there all 3 breedings, but the one day, you know, the little female got loose, you know what I'm saying, and she would bite your ass. You know, and I was on the other side of the fence trying to hold her. You know, Mike, he pulling her head through the fence, and Paul, he got the male, but he ain't got no breeding stand. We just pulling the chain through the fence to keep her head against the fence, and I'm trying to hold her while Paul putting him up on her,
Right.
trying to get her bread. Now the whole time now she going slam crazy.
Right, right.
You know, and I'm trying to hold her, but you know, I'm telling Mike to keep her head against the fence because she's trying to bite. Every time Paul would put the nail up on it, you know, she get to acting crazy, acting like she's trying to get loose. But somewhere in that process, you know how you had a clip through the fence?
Yeah.
And the dog get to pull it, and it done unclip, and she done slipped off that chain and got loose. Man, you should have seen this shit. I immediately jumped over the fence. Paul had the male. She went to running after Paul. Paul then dropped the male, and because she's not trying to get the dog, she's trying to get us. and he already like a big dude. You know, he ain't no little dude. He's a big dude. And he couldn't hit that fence fast enough. You know, it was the funniest shit you ever want to see, man. The way that big nigga tried to get up on that fence and flop over that fence, man, it was so funny.
So his own dog was trying to bite him?
Yeah, man, because she was mad. We was really, literally, you know, trying to breed her.
Yeah. She hadn't got pissed off.
So fired up and worked because she was trying to bite me the whole time.
Right.
So when she got loose, the first thing I did, I let her go. So I realized that she was off. You know, I'm still young in the game. I didn't even think about handling her like I handle my Dobermans. They don't do this kind of crazy shit, you know?
Right.
So when she popped loose and she was already a strong dog, I couldn't hold her. I was like, first thing I thought about was jump over the fence.
Yeah,
So
that's instinct. Instinct said, get out the way.
Yep, I jumped right over that fence.
Yeah, get out the way, boy.
Took off running. He couldn't just jump over the fence. He had to go get him a running start and do a flop. He tried to get to the open side, you know, when you open the gate, it isn't always high as the other fence. Right?
Yeah.
Trying to get to the gate and try to run through the gate. He realized that he wasn't going to get that gate open quick enough, so he tried to do a belly flop on the top of the gate. Maybe he'll roll over. Boy, she caught him. She caught him right there on his leg. But then she got him. She didn't go crazy and get the hanging on him. She just did him and let him go.
Right.
And she didn't even want to jump on the male. She was trying to jump on the male. She was trying to bite us because she didn't like what we was doing to her.
Right.
But later on that evening, we got in some duct tape and we taped her up. And we got the breeding done. We did it 3 days in a row, like every other day. I was down there to help him breed.
And that was the breeding that produced Tornado.
And that litter right there is a litter that you're going to see on the bottom of that brother and sister breeding. It's the litter that came out of that breeding we made.
Mm-hmm.
Those couples, Frank Bunton, a guy named Sam Lambert, that champion Hawkins champion stripper, comes down off of that very dude that brought me into the dog game, Sheriff Powell.
Okay. So when you start learning about conditioning, because that's another science to this game too.
Well, I learned about conditioning since James Pope taught me the